Welcome to episode 10 of Nexus Now, a Nexus gaming series podcast bringing you news, stories, and personalities from the NGS community, as well as the greater Heroes of the Storm universe. I am Jackster37. I will be the host today. Joining me are the usual crew. Ghost Dunk, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good, feeling great. I'm
Yeah, I think we all have that feeling.
Yeah, how are you doing? Well, I'm recording a Heroes of the Storm podcast. How am I feeling? Let me think about that. I'm feeling optimistic. Everyone's got I think the same bundle of emotions of disappointment, depression, and optimism. I feel so.
Yeah, well put. Murda, how are you doing?
Hey guys, how's everything going? A little break there and a lot of stuff to discuss. Ghost, I kind of have the same opinions as you right now, just the same sort of feelings of, where are we? Where are we going? What is happening with Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, I mean, going through just a quick table of contents, we're going to be talking about the loss of HGC and Heroes of the Dorm. Then we're going to go on to developer changes and predictions for HotS 2019. Then we're going to cap it off with some follow-up, some XP change follow-up, and some balance patch follow-up from the recent one. But diving right into it, I mean, the number one story probably in the past year, like since the game was released, has been, this latest announcement that Blizzard has made the decision to cancel HGC and Heroes of the Dorm, and subsequently move developers away from the team to other projects inside Blizzard, some announced, some not, and that they would be followed by quote-unquote cadence changes. And we'll dive into what all that means, but starting off right with HGC and Here's the Dorm. I know this one hit me particularly hard because I am captain of my Heroes of the Dorm team, and we have had to reevaluate whether or not we are going to stay together as a team, because this was such a big tournament and such what we had been striving for the past 6 months, and it is brutal for me and a lot of other teams. What are you guys' opinions on it?
I mean, like, it's this is such a huge topic. I mean, I feel like this has been covered like everywhere. Like it's obvious. It's a travesty. It was canceled in a way that was like super unprofessional. A lot of people had their sort of dreams and plans of the last 6 months or year, and possibly future plans for not even just the next 6 months when Dorms was about to start, but I know people that they were preparing for Dorms for 2020, and now that has disappeared because nobody knew. And when you deal, this is about 200 people, 200 to 250 people, casters, content creators, for Heroes of the Dorm here and HGC, and players, most especially players. Like, everybody got hit hard. Like everybody just got laid off and they all lost their jobs, and it always feels bad.
Yeah, I think the general sentiment can be of the community is people are bummed that HGC and Heroes of the Dorm are gone, but I think a lot of people saw the writing on the wall, and didn't know if to expect that the competitive scene would last very much longer, considering the viewership numbers. But I think the overall sentiment is that they're not angry about that. They're more angry about how it was done. And I'm reminded of the line from one of my favorite movies, All the President's Men. I don't mind what you did. I mind how you did it. And I think that really sums up, like, you do not do this a couple weeks before Christmas. You do not do this when everybody's already started making plans for next year, when you have gone out on BlizzCon and behind the scenes told people that it would be coming back. Now, again, I'm betting that those developers and those people at BlizzCon, quote unquote, leaking the information, were under the same impression that we were, that BlizzCon, Heroes of HGC would be back for another year. As we can see by the second message that we'll get to by KO, I was talking to this with Murda earlier. He says, HGC has had its best year yet, and I was so looking forward to 2019 season. If this is, some higher up saying they were looking forward to it, it clearly, says that, hey, this was a decision that happened after BlizzCon, probably following their poor earnings report, and it was probably dictated by, if not Activision, then the more financial-based pieces of Blizzard. What do you think, Murda?
Well, J. Allen Brack basically told us, you think you want HGC, but you don't. So we've heard this in the past from J. Allen, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that. It was the line directly says, we ultimately feel it's the right decision versus moving forward in a way that would not meet these standards that players have and fans have come to expect, which essentially just says, like, we're not willing to give HTC and Heroes of the Dorm the money it needs to put on a somewhat professional look. We're not willing to make that financial commitment. Ergo, we don't want to release something that's half-assed, which, I mean, pros and cons. I bet a lot of people would be like, I don't care if it's out of a cardboard box, put on HTC, let these players keep playing. But of course, we have the financial costs of just having the players on as salaried individuals. And,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it for me, just looking at it being year end, they're obviously finalizing a budget for 2019 where a lot of these decisions were being made for not only Heroes of the Storm, but the rest of Blizzard proper and all their other IPs they have going right now. This move is really signaling to me that there's something going to be released this year outside, obviously, of Warcraft 3 Reforged, outside of Diablo Immortal. Something else certainly is coming out that is being considered into a marketing budget, into just like a whole planning of having maybe even a new esports ecosystem around. I think there's a lot at play, and kind of alluded to from the J. Allen Brack letter that there's some stuff coming from Blizzard this year. And Heroes of the Storm became in the crosshairs of what needed to be removed to make room for whatever this new thing is going to be.
Yeah, it's the problem is that they've given themselves it's a very bad PR move. They basically abruptly canceled these things, and right now I guarantee you Overwatch League people are talking to their organizations, being like, what do we do if Blizzard cancels Overwatch League? What happens?
I have follow-up for that. So I'm in, because I'm in the Heroes of the Dorm scene and I'm with my esports at my school, I know that the Overwatch prize pool for the collegiate team, which is run by Blizzard, in the spring, the prize pool for the first place team has been dropped from $7,000 to $1,700. So that's just a little bit of a tidbit. I don't know if that's per person or whatnot. I'd have to talk to Tony, my Overwatch team captain, about that. But it really seems like Blizzard is cutting corners wherever they can. Like what Murda said, I don't know if this is for unannounced projects. I don't know if this is for Diablo Immortal. I don't know if this is just to appease the Activision, monopoly men with monocles in their eyes. I don't know what it's for, but they are clearly cutting corners at every point.
I mean, when your stock drops like Activision does, you can imagine that shareholders are demanding that action be taken, and action be taken now. And probably the most public thing you can do is cancel something like an esport, which is frustrating, but that's one way to cut costs.
Yeah, and Murda and I were talking about the stocks earlier. And I will link a post that I made a few weeks back before this was actually announced, and where I said that Blizzard was hurting quite a bit, but it wasn't necessarily because of BlizzCon. It's a combination of a poor earnings report and a bear market. I'll link that if you want to read into it, but just know that Activision Blizzard, pretty suffering in terms of capital. So this makes logical it makes logical sense that they would cut Heroes, because it is the poorest return on investment that they have. That isn't to say that it doesn't hurt and that it isn't brutal, especially for all the fans and the players. Seeing Zalia and Rich cry on stream is just it can't be a good face for your game, and it is brutal.
I mean, that's capitalism for you. I mean, if you're trying to maximize the amount of money and you're a CFO, that's sometimes that's the stuff that the kind of choices that you're faced with. And I don't know, it bothers me when people say stuff like, "Oh, this was such a hard decision," and they keep saying it. It's like, well,
it was hard for the developers, but they had no say in it. They were told like this isn't going to happen. You know, I imagine like especially with no game director, no one to stand up for the game. I bet the decision was very easy for the higher ups to make. I imagine it was, you know, brutal for the developers. They were just like, well, I guess we got to go where we got to go now. Moving on, because we want to stay on the time frame because this is going to be a longer episode. Fixing to release it Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Yay, HGC is canceled. That was actually Breeze's response in Twitter. I thought that was the best response that anybody had ever said or sent. Yeah. It was just Merry Christmas.
Oh, I love everybody. I've been reading like all the news posts about HGC being canceled, and they post all the tweets from the professional players, and everybody points at the Lauber tweet and says some players were a little bit more blunt about the situation.
And you know, that actually kind of leads me into my next point, which is now taking this initial statement that J. Allen Brack and Ray Gresco, I'll be honest, I'd never heard of their names before this message got released. I imagine they are probably two of the most higher ups. And this message from K.O. Milker, which came out a day after, what can only be charitably described as a show unfolded. We'll be bleeping this, but there probably will be a lot of cursing this episode. I'll make that prediction. I feel like this was probably a sort of higher up saying like, what the hell is happening in your discussions, and like, why are people so upset that we're canceling a game? Go deal with them, KO. And KO came out and he gave this really, I'm gonna use a pun, milquetoast statement that essentially didn't really say anything new, just said like, I was really upset because, and I talked with Murda about this, that they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're excited that all of these great developers that are leaving HotS, that are going to Overwatch, that are going to Hearthstone, that are going to WoW, and unannounced projects, those projects are going to be so much better because they have these great support. But they don't make the logical next step, which is to say that Heroes will significantly hurt from the lack of these devs. And they don't. All they say is, again, the cadence of support will change. This was the same statement from the previous statement, which was, and other content that our community loves, though the cadence will change. This was not a personal statement from KO. Maybe he wrote the first draft, but he definitely had to send this by the PR people to get it approved. And it did not ease any of my concerns. What did you guys think?
Well, I think what I said to you before is I feel like the original statement from J. Allen Brack, obviously the top Blizz executives they have, and then what we saw from KO is more of that same message being presented through the lens of the development team with Heroes of the Storm. And I think you're right, a lot of it obviously had to go through the PR team, make sure that what he's saying is in alignment with the rest of Blizzard and how they already presented it the day before. It was a tough read, having to sit there and hear KO kind of, I don't want to say it was like a doom and gloom type atmosphere while reading it, but he definitely was open about developers leaving. I believe he also said we don't have a skeleton crew. We have a who's who of top devs that have been with the game for a while, and that they'd be able and are confident in being able to produce content of the quality we've come to expect from this HotS team.
Yeah, I think the who's who is a good point. If I'm KO Milker and I'm in charge of the Heroes division, and somebody came to me, and I guarantee, like, not guarantee, but this is my imagination of what's happening, is that KO Milker is in meetings with the CFO, with J. Allen Brack, saying, you know, fighting for the Heroes team, trying to keep as many people as he can on his team, trying to keep HGC alive. I guarantee, like, when they're in talks of that sort of thing, they're like, well, we have to cut funding for HGC, and now we can't pay people. And he's like, well, what about tournaments? What about crowdfunding it? What about this? And I think that's where that line of we can't keep up HGC with the same quality as before. I think that spoke to the refusal to find some kind of lesser HGC for next year. And if I'm KO Milker, I'm trying to keep as many people as I can on my team, and I'm trying to keep my team morale up, because looking at that post, if I'm still on the Heroes team, I want to swap out. I want out of this game, because that letter from Jalen Brack is like, oh yeah, HotS is dead, and KO Milker has to come out with this. Can't be like, he has to be as positive as possible, and it's a little unfortunate this is as positive as a letter as was physically possible of existing. But I will say the who's who thing, we had one bright piece of news, which is that Lana, I forgot her last name, but Lana's sticking on the animation team.
Lana Bashinsky. I apologize if I am.
Yeah,
we love you, Lana. You're fantastic. We love your work.
Yeah, I met Lana a little bit at BlizzCon. I got to talk to her, and she is fantastic. She's super, like, listening to her present about Orphea. It was an amazing presentation. And like, it's awesome that she's still on the team. So we still have some really awesome people working on the HotS team, which is great news.
Yeah, that really is good news, and it put a little bit of my worries to rest, because that was really like, I knew only a couple of the big name devs that I really enjoyed, and Lana was one of them, and to hear her saying is a really, really big relief. Moving on, last part before we move on from these statements to the next set of statements, which came out just this past week. There's this one. The Heroes of the Storm team and I also have a unique opportunity to rethink things and reprioritize, because now more than ever, our charge is to focus on taking care of you, our players, and to channel all of our energy into keeping the game dynamic and fun. Now, beyond the blatant hypocrisy of saying we take care of our players and subsequently firing all of the HGC teams and all of the observers and all of the casters and all of that, what do you guys take by this statement where they say to rethink things and reprioritize?
Yeah, I think from the lens of a few people, to them, it's going to signal, hey, we're not going to worry as much about balancing towards a competitive scene. We're going to balance towards you guys having fun. Cho'Gall, you saw, just got completely guttered in the balance patch that came out this past week.
Yep.
They don't care about Cho'Gall's win rate at a competitive level at all. This is them saying, we want you to have fun, and we know you don't have fun playing against Cho'Gall.
Yeah, we know you don't have fun playing against Smurl. We know you don't have fun playing against like Orphea. Yeah, no, that makes sense, and we'll get into that probably further with the balance patch. Ghost, do you have any different interpretation, or do you?
Oh no, that's I would absolutely agree. And when we talk about XP changes, I think we'll be talking about the same sort of thing of we're not balancing towards the very top, and even there's a lot of evidence that most players, like even at the very, very, very top, like stuff that's optimal is not the way people play.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's going to be a little different. I don't know what the meta is going to be like if this happens. But moving on, next statement by KO Milker again. But this is on December 21st. This is Heroes of the Storm content update. Overall, trying to give you the TLDR. This is essentially a what do they call it? Just trying to ease the community's concerns, because those previous two statements, like what we had said, were pretty very corporatese. They did not give us a lot of faith in the dev team or in Blizzard for supporting the game into the future. We got a lot of promises that they would continue to support it, but like the writing was on the wall. So I'm glad they did this statement. I would have preferred that they started doing statements like this 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, just letting you know like what we're currently thinking. Like, hey, that would probably be a good idea to let us know. They're doing this now because they don't want to hemorrhage any more, players that they already have. Essentially, they reconfirmed that the team is still functioning and that the things that they are working on are the hero role overhaul, the ranked play changes, which we discussed last time, bringing back the ability to directly purchase individual skins with gems, and adding the ability to get more content like skins and mounts with gold. Now, before we dive into this, I want to separate them into two categories, which are like the first two, which is hero role and ranked changes. Hero role essentially goes hand in hand with QM, so we can call them QM and ranked changes, and then monetization changes, which are these gold and gem changes. So going straight off of the QM ranked changes, do you guys think we will actually see these changes ever?
I think this is KO giving confirmation that what was announced at BlizzCon, at least this part of it, is something they still want to remain committed to, most likely because they already have most, if not all of it, in a near complete stage to go live already, where the developers who had been with the game that might have left recently, they got this ready to go and they're just putting the finishing touches on it. So I think we will see the hero role overhaul. So we're going to have the 6 different roles now. And I do think that this ranked play consolidation has been a top tier item for them. I think we're also going to be seeing that by the next season. So I think both these changes are not only coming, but they're coming pretty soon. And I think most of the work's probably already done for them.
Yeah, it is important to mention that we were all wrong in terms of last podcast when we had made our predictions. That, I mean, Bahamut was most wrong. Let's all blame him. He expected every single change to be implemented in the season that we are currently in, and what a surprise. I thought I was being very pessimistic by saying we would only get 3 of the things out of the 6, and it's like, 0. Oh wow. And like some of them are like off the table now. It's like, oof.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's this, the whole announcement changed everybody's predictions as far as everything was concerned. So it's sort of a huge...
Well, the ranked season came out before the announcement did. So this was essentially, I have no doubt it was influenced by the earnings report and the subsequent strong arming of Activision into Blizzard's affairs by saying, like, what are these new changes that you want to implement? Like, no.
I think actually, I don't know that Activision is looking at specific changes and saying you can't do it, but I think it's Kale Milker looking at, this is the size of my team. Here's, what I have to be able to do, and here's what I can finish. Here are all the tickets I can get done out of my Jira, which, by the way, is like a ticket tracking software. But I think they're gonna do the rank play consolidation for sure, because I think they know their player base is going to start shrinking. And getting rid of an entire queue is probably better for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into that with the last change that they had implemented, which was the matchmaking update, which essentially says, we'll get back to the monetization changes, but essentially says that QM and Hero League, I read through this like 2 or 3 times. Essentially, the only thing it says is, we enjoy that the match quality has improved, which by my numbers, I can't tell that they've actually improved. Oh, but they do make the statement that create standard composition. So match quality is improving in terms of like they have more standard compositions in QM, but not in terms of MMR, which was where my data doesn't confirm this. They are going to loosen the rules when it comes to, which I'm like, at this point, like, is the system that we have right now even better than what we had beforehand? If sometimes the enemy team is going to have a tank and a support and my team isn't, like, is that even better than what it was before, where, we were 5-man assassins, but at least we knew the enemy team wasn't going to get a tank and support? Like, and this is where, Ghost, you and I, like, get to yell at everybody, because it's like, Blind Pick doesn't have this problem, okay? And it's like, you try to do this half solution where you standardize comps and you make this happen. Well, guess what? More than 60% of the community are assholes that don't play support or tank, and because they messed up and they did not give proper incentives for it at the very beginning of the game, you have a very large subset of players who do not want to play support or tank in QM. Ergo, we can't have good matches. This is the definitive, this is why we can't have nice things. So
I mean, it really is because no one wants to play tank.
Yeah, but this isn't the Heroes of the Storm problem. It's the same in WoW. Like, you have priority queuing for dungeons with special rewards there. Like, it's people don't want to play the more support style classes because they want to be the high, big, excuse me and my language, big damage.
Yeah.
They want to throw it out and have fun. And sometimes being a support, you're just a supporting cast character in that play that's going on the battleground. So it makes sense.
I was thinking about this. Is the problem? It has to be like one of two. It can be others, but I've only thought of two. Is it A, supports aren't incentivizing enough to play, or is it B, that the community is adverse to playing supports?
I think it's that tanks aren't incentivizing enough to play.
I think supports have a worse pick rate in QM. I could check real quick though.
It's always anecdotal evidence from me says that if you get a tank, you get a queue a lot quicker than with a support, and it's always either tank or tank and support that are available. And I think it's because there are so few tanks, and the good ones are always the same few. I just think it's that there are less tanks. And I think
that might be it.
I think it's variety. I don't think it's necessarily that support or tanks are less fun to play in general. I think that that's just there's more supports than there are tanks, viable tanks at least.
Yeah, and I think the reason, again, not just in HotS, this goes for other games with the role system as well. I think the reason you don't see tank players as often is because it's really hard to quantify a good tank versus a bad tank on a stat page. Most often your smartest tanks are the ones doing those intangible things that help you succeed, whether it's in a raid or on a battleground. They don't have the stat numbers to prove I'm an impact player, and players want that instant gratification of knowing, look at me, everyone seeing how much damage I'm doing, even supporting how much healing I'm doing. You can see these things so clearly. With tanks, you just don't get that. And it takes a deep appreciation of the game, your HGC, not just players, but the people watching the game who appreciate and understand how good players like Breeze, playing like his Diablo in the past we've seen so well. You need a real understanding of the game to appreciate a good tank player.
Yeah, there's no stat line for time spent in a bush. There's no stat line for CC that led to a kill.
Yeah. And their solution is to incentivize people to play these heroes through the XP boost in QM, which, from what I can tell, I have only ever seen on supports and tanks, which just reconfirms, like, hey, maybe you specialists should stop playing specialists, but again, that goes back to the problem of, well, what kind of players play Heroes of the Storm? It's like, maybe it's people who like specialists. Abathur is never going to be on Abathur is never going to be XP boosted because too many people play Abathur. I'm sorry, too many people play Abathur. And so this just kind of, and the last thing I wanted to say is, so they did these XP boosts. They don't work when you're solo queued. Did you know that? I do not get the XP boost if I am just solo queued. If I want to go into QM and just like pick a support or pick a tank, I don't get it. I only get it when I'm in a group when I'm in a party. So it's like
I have not noticed that.
I don't know if this is just for me. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy. I don't know if this is just for me. I don't know if it's because I'm like a pretty high level in QM MMR, and so it's like we don't want you to get a boost anyways. But I do not get the XP boost if I am solo queued, and I would encourage people to try this and like see if they get it when they're just solo queued versus ranked up.
Let's officially list this as unconfirmed.
Yes, this is unconfirmed. I don't know if this is a bug or I don't know if this is a feature.
I'm actually pulling up the game right now
all right. So Jax, I do know when you like get into the game, it tells you these many people and specifically who have a boost active, and it tells you if I had 2 people in the game with boosts other than myself, it says you're going to get a 10%.
I'm talking about at the end of the game, boost, like not in game, not boost sim packs. I'm talking about the for playing underused heroes.
No, yeah, no, I
Oh.
see I know what
You're
you mean.
talking about the
but
priority queue boost.
Yes, I guess that's
yeah,
what it's called.
are you saying you're not getting it at the end of the game, or you're not seeing
If
it at
I
all?
am not in a group, if I'm not in a party, I will not ever see heroes boosted. So I am in QM
boy.
right now, and none of the heroes on my screen have the active XP bonus on them. Do you see them?
Oh yeah, I see all of them.
Okay, so this is, I think, just a problem for high players. So I'm going to invite you to a party. Ghost, are we not friends? Are we really not friends? Oh my. Add me.
/ join NGS in game to join
Oh yeah,
the
you're
NGS
probably
chat channel.
in there.
Yeah, of course I'm
okay.
in NGS.
This is interesting.
Yes, I still actually
Live
don't see
reporting
this.
here for you guys,
there it is. There it is.
podcast listeners.
There it is.
All right, now I'm gonna leave and see what happens to your thing.
It's all they're all gone.
Interesting.
I think, unless Blizzard
So we can move this from
yeah,
unconfirmed to confirmed now.
Unless Blizzard is specifically targeting me, I think it is at a certain MMR level, they don't want to give out rewards for you playing tanks or supports, because me being in the matchmaking queue, they want to dissuade me from being in the matchmaking queue because I throw off the matchmaker so much, just because it's so hard to balance around. And I've seen this. Like, I don't get queues that are shorter than 10 minutes. If I play QM, I was going to actually mention this before all the hubbubaloo happened, but
Hubbaloo.
this QM is actually worse than before, because before I would wait 30 seconds and get into a 5-man assassin queue. Now I wait 10 minutes and get into a 5-man assassin queue. This is essentially what happens in all of my games.
I mean, I think with these QM changes, I think that they fixed that for most people.
Essentially, they turned back the dial.
Yeah.
It's bad again.
They did.
For
They
me.
undid it.
You know, it's now I only wait 30 seconds for it, but like it's not an improvement.
Yeah.
And this is where the big thing is, these changes did not help, and it's like you're dancing around blind pick and you're not going to do it, and it's just like,
yeah, it doesn't. Don't even make it blind pick. Make it just another screen. And I think this is, Jax had this idea too. Just make it another screen after you queue up. Just show them the map, show your teammates' composition, and if you're missing one of the roles, offer the XP bonus there to switch to the roles, or whatever reward that you can think of to switch to the game, and then to unlock character that you queued up with and lock in a different character if you don't like your team's composition and you don't like the map.
I think now more than ever they would never do that because of the backlash, and now they're loosening the restrictions because essentially people said, we don't care about match quality, we just want to get into games. And
I think they're not doing it because they don't have the developers for it now.
No, don't. Do not blame every bad decision or every bad thing that is in the game on the lack of developers now. Okay, we're not going.
Oh no, they can't implement it now if they want to.
Well, of course, it's too late, and this is where like the whole like better late than never is actually like a wrong idea to have. Okay, we waited 2 years for voice chat, and what happened? The game died in the meanwhile. What happened when we waited 1.5 years for bans in a competitive game? It's like, oh, the game died in the meanwhile, or the game didn't get any traction. Okay, this is why I get so upset at when people are like, oh, better late than never. It's like, well, no, because we needed this 2 years ago for the game to be sustainable. This is why the game is not sustainable, is because they waited 2 years on voice chat when Overwatch had it in the beta.
Yeah, honestly, like looking back on this, I think the biggest problem for Heroes of the Storm was that when Heroes 2.0 came out, it actually generated the correct amount of buzz. Everyone came to the game to try it out with the Overwatch event, and QM sucked. And nobody knew how to play the game. Blizzard didn't tell anybody how to play the game. They still haven't told anybody how to actually play the game. And players that were seasoned gamers saw it, and they saw the quick match, and they saw people playing the game in crazy dumb ways, and they're like, oh, this game, there's no strategy to it, it's completely random, and it's for casuals, and I'm done.
And if you hold off on these changes long enough, if you focus on the easy changes, which are like I say releasing a new hero or doing a hero rework is easy. It's not. But if you focus on these things, focus on performance-based matchmaking. Okay, they focused on that for 1.5 years. Imagine how much dev time got sunk into performance-based matchmaking that they could have used on any number of other projects to try and get done. And it's like, this is where the whole mismanagement comes into.
Yeah,
into
I think
idea.
though that I think that they put a lot of emphasis on that because the feedback they seem to be getting from the community is that, quote, matchmaking sucks. And I think they spent a lot of time trying to fix what is basically a perception problem, because matchmaking does not actually suck except at the very top.
Which is where I think most of the complaints were coming from, though. I think you're going to get like the normal like plat people that are like, I'm stuck in plat, which is, some of them are actually stuck in plat. I can't get out because matchmaking sucks. And it's like, well, maybe it's a combination of being a little bit stuck in MMR hell, and maybe you're just a little bit better than your teammates, so like you're not going to rise that fast, and it just feels like it's very slow. But the complaints at the top were very real, and you know what? They just ignored us. They never took any steps to try and fix it. They waited 2 years. I mean, it's like anybody with half a brain could have told them 2 years ago that matchmaking at ranked was completely messed up, and they didn't do anything about that.
Right. Well, I mean, like, so at the very top, the problem is like you'd go in and they messed up a lot of calculation stuff. Like, there's small bugs that created actual problems. So and there was one season where everybody got masters. It was master for everybody, and then they would get that, and then they'd keep it.
And then they were so averse to doing resets. They would never.
Well, I
do
mean,
a
like,
reset.
MMR resets is really rough, and I think that creates an absolute like sort of chaos scenario. But then you had the PRA incident where you would play and you'd have a certain amount of PRA, and then you hit Masters, and then your PRA would skyrocket because Masters basically there was like MMR inflation going on in Masters, and they had different calculations for Masters players than the rest of the queue in terms of PRA, which is personal rank adjustment. So there was a couple bugs in the system, but outside of that, like, if I'm queuing up as a Grandmaster and I don't get into the Grandmaster game, you know, you sat there in queue, and queue times were really long because they were trying to look for more, you know, lightning rank people to fill that space to play. But then, you know, maybe you got to play against other masters, and maybe you got to play against other diamonds, and the player base is so small that at the top you basically have no option except to play with people that, you know, they didn't really want to play with.
Yeah, and so this feeds into the Hero League matchmaking. So Master and Grandmaster players, this is entirely focused at the top tier, can now be matched with Diamond 1 through 5. Which is pretty much like, it's a death send for any competitive players. Like, I know some Diamond 5 players that should not be in Diamond 5. I know some Master players that shouldn't be in Master, but at least like the system messed up to put them in my game. Diamond 5 is just like, no. You're just, no. Those are not competitive games at all.
They don't have the players, and I don't think that they ever did.
I think that they did at some point, and I think they could have helped. They could have made it a lot bigger, but they chose not to. So this will you know, feed into our next segment, which is just predictions. So let's go through like.
Wait! Before we move on, we haven't talked at all about the monetization changes. Kevin.
Oh yes, thank you.
And Leia, let me jump in. So obviously, Heroes 2.0, and I'm gonna talk to you guys through the lens of myself being a quote unquote whale of buying bundles of skins and whatnot. Where pre 2.0, I was buying skins that I liked. You know, maybe a new Dahaka skin came out, and I'd be like, oh, this is cool. I want to get this. I'd grab it, buy it directly. You know, click on this and it's yours. Now 2.0, over the past couple of years, we've been dealing with, has it been 2 years? How long has 2.0 even been out?
March of 2017, I'm pretty sure. So a year and a half.
Okay. Year and a half, we'll call it. I've been now buying gems, getting loot boxes, and the overall experience, I personally don't like it as much. You can't go and buy the Haka skin you want unless it's in a bundle, and if you do that, you're getting the mounts and everything. So it's been an issue, not just for me, but for everyone. And finally, it sounds like KO is interested in looking back to see if it's possible to just buy skins outright, get gems and click on it. The skin is yours.
Yeah, let's not act like this is any benevolence here. This is essentially Activision throwing up its hands, saying, "Fine, the Heroes 2.0 monetization didn't work. We don't care. You can do whatever you want with the monetization now, because this is not their moneymaker anymore. They've essentially given up on trying to make money off of the game. So it's like adding the ability to buy skins with gold and directly purchase individual skins with gems. They're giving up on revenue streams. Why are they doing that? Because they know it's not going to be a profit anyway. So it's like, well, who cares? So they're doing this just the following up with the previous statement where they were just like, we're going to focus on the players more. This does actually seem like they're going to be focusing on us, making our last moments a very, very, a nice one, like they're settling us in a community home before we go off to sleep in one night.
I
We're
mean,
in the hospice.
Oh, yeah, we can be the new Brawl is bingo.
Oh God. Oh God.
I don't know. I think that this is more like, it's I don't know that it's removing a revenue stream, but it's being able to buy more skins and stuff with gold is technically a way to get more people to the game. So that could draw in more people, conceivably.
Skins are not what are holding the game back. I'm going to be honest with you. Skins are not holding the game back. Damn, if only I could buy that Kerrigan skin, I'd play the game more.
Right. No, well, it's more like, oh, I played the game and oh, I can get this skin or something like that. That game makes the game a slight bit more appealing, possibly to somebody that's playing, and being able to buy individual skins with gems. I think it's you still make money, and a lot of people have argued that being able to directly purchase stuff, it was always the way that it should go, and that it actually make more money with that. But
don't do this, because it's like people say this, okay? It's like, oh, you'd make so much more money if you just let people individually buy skins. People underestimate how many loot box whales there are, okay? People underestimate that. You think Blizzard doesn't have smart people working at it? Well, of course, they're not smart enough to make HotS monetizable or profitable enough. But then again, I think that's just because we didn't have a big enough player base, okay? Read my lips, okay? Loot boxes were the thing that were going to make them the most amount of money in HotS, okay? More than being able to purchase skins directly, okay? Do not make the statement that, like, if only we had.
I agree.
Like it would
but
be
Jax,
better.
Wait. But Jax, wait. The reason the loot boxes are marginally more successful, or even past marginal, is because they've added in so much and garbage that people would have never paid for. You're not going to get me to pay for a spray back in the old 1.0 system. I'm not going to give you money for that. I would like to unlock it through achievement systems, even if it was like a battle pass type thing where you level up and you get these on each level. That would have felt good. But telling me in 1.0 if I would have paid you, even if it was $1 for a spray, the answer is a big fat hell no. With the loot box system, getting them included in and having more of those like common items, not rare or epic or legendary, they needed that filler content, and that's the solution they came up with. And that's the part that sucks moving from 1.0 to 2.0, is that you're getting all this stuff you don't want in with your loot boxes, and you're ending up paying for it.
And the final thing about it is just like, they never believed, like the developers, I don't think ever believed that loot boxes were like a good thing, or that they were like good for the game. I think they enjoyed the old monetization scheme. I say scheme like it's a bad thing. I think they enjoyed that more, and they understood that loot boxes weren't a great thing, but they were essentially just told by Blizzard, you have to make this more profitable, and loot boxes are going to be more profitable for the game. And like there was a deal they had to make to keep the lights on, and now they're like, well, the lights are going off anyway, so I guess we get to have our cake. With the whole gold thing, this just came to mind. Do you think that they're adding the ability to get skins and mounts with gold because they're not going to be releasing that many heroes, and therefore like gold has absolutely no value? If we can't buy heroes with gold, like, then we need to buy something else, and so they're just like, okay, we're going to make skins and mounts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why to begin with they didn't just make gold able to convert into loot boxes,
because that's
at a minimum.
Because that's turning imaginary value into real value. Loot boxes have real value. They're worth $1 for every loot box. I'm pretty sure. You know, that's why they don't want. So why would this? You know, why would they turn
already
imaginary money into real money? They're taking.
Yeah, you already get paid for playing the game in terms of loot boxes by getting loot boxes for every level through XP.
Yeah, well, I mean, in saying that they're quote unquote giving away stuff or like less than value for what a loot box is. I mean, you're rewarding players for playing your game, which is ultimately what Blizzard wants, is people to be in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like if you pay with gold, you're double dipping into that because you already are paying players for playing the game in the form of XP.
But it gives players options of what to do with that currency, whereas like people like myself, I have almost 200,000 gold. There's nothing to use it on. I can open up loot boxes till the end of my days, re-roll all the ones I don't like. I'd still have over 100,000 gold. Like, it's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah,
anytime quick. But it's because a system that if you have a boost, you're getting gold, you're getting more than you need, more than you're ever going to use. Even hero releases, buying those heroes doesn't matter. I still have more gold than I could ever use. They need to find a way to let people use that outside of, hey, here's a new mount that costs 20,000. It still doesn't break the bank for people like myself and others who have a surplus of gold. Like, it's what can we do with it?
My bet is that they're going to make like skins, like a select amount of skins and mounts purchasable by gold, and they're going to be like outrageously overpriced, like 50,000 gold for a Li Ming skin or something like that. Maybe it's an exclusive, like you can only buy it with gold, but that's my bet. It's just like to compensate those whales that have like 200,000, 300,000 gold, but they have nothing to spend it on. Like, I bet that's what it's going to be.
Well, let's leave with some optimism here. I do think the new system, allowing people to get in and buy their skins, I think people overall are going to appreciate that. Loot boxes don't seem to be going away. That'll still be an option for those who like that. I think it ends up being just a win-win for everyone if they allow people to get what they want.
It's essentially giving people an ice cream sundae as they just got fired from work. It's essentially what it is. It's small consolation for, okay, like, I just got essentially laid off in terms of I can't run an esports team at my college anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, that's gone. So I'm getting a Sunday in terms of I can use my 50,000 gold now.
I mean, like, if you're looking at the pro end of the scene, like, you're not going to be playing the game at all except to have fun. So,
which, good for them.
I think
I wish the best for those people.
Yeah, I mean, I think you wanted to talk about the Grubby video if we want to talk about optimism.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do I want to piss off Grubby fans? Like, I don't like how Grubby essentially led people along, and I think this is partly because he wants to stay in Blizzard's good graces, because if you... like, those pros that called Blizzard off and said, fuck you, like, they're never going to get any contact with Blizzard ever again. Blizzard gets very butthurt about that. Like, if you ever cross them or do anything against them, they will shut you down. So, like, Grubby not speaking out against this is big. It shows a lot, especially, considering Warcraft 3 is coming up for him. So he might want to, like, be on the in for, like, events that Blizzard might want to do. So I really don't like how Grubby said, okay, how did he frame this? Because I don't want to get his argument wrong. I'll put it in the description.
Well, I think what he was talking about was he was trying to have a level of optimism talking about the future of the game. And he's speaking directly to the notion of dead game. And his point is that, however many years later, I think it's maybe 20 years later, like, people are still playing Warcraft 3.
It's that's the comparison that it's not a dead game yet. Okay. People still love to play it. I play it from time to time, but it's the comparison between Warcraft 3 and HotS. Like, he said that Warcraft 3 goes through waves of popularity, and that, like, it's possible that HotS will, come back in the future. And it's like, no, okay. If they're pulling developers There's no in no universe do they pull developers away, do they pull funding away, do they pull a competitive scene, and a game gets more popular over time. It doesn't happen.
No, I don't think he was trying to say that it would get more popular. Just that, you know, if people like stop playing it and then it dwindles down to very, very few people playing it, maybe a year later, some more people discover it and they start getting into it. I mean, if you look at the game's popularity as like a graph, that's like you're up high now and then maybe it'll dip down, but you're gonna have a couple like little valleys. And I think his bigger point was that as long as other people are playing the game and you're having fun playing the game, you still get to play the game.
It's the allusion to Warcraft Reforged that I think I take the most issue with, because clearly he doesn't ever specifically say it, but the end point of it being that he stuck with Warcraft, you know, after it was quote unquote a dead game and it went through waves of popularity, and now we get Warcraft Reforged. Maybe there will be a HotS Reforged in 10 years down the road to like give people some like blind hope. And it's just like, I really don't think you should do that. Give people optimism for sure. Like, and I think that's what that content patch was doing. Like a lot of these things, you know, people are saying that they're still coming, which is great, but don't lead people on to think that we're going to get HGC back in 5 years. Do you guys want to move on to predictions for 2019?
Sure, yeah. Number one, HotS is going to exist. It's not going to be deleted in 2019.
I can buy into that.
So what we're going to see, a lot of the patches coming out during 2019 is stuff that has been started previously by the devs that were on the team. They obviously have to put finishing touches, the cadence of when these certain things are coming out, events, maybe stuff's already been created for loot boxes there. New skins and such might have already been thought out or at least begun or worked on. They exist in some form. I think we're going to get all that stuff. Whether or not we're going to get new stuff on top of that, which we wouldn't really know because we don't know their full plans yet, I think a lot of that's going to slow down. But as a player without inside information, we might not notice too much in 2019.
Yeah. How many heroes came out in 2018? Any of you guys know off the top of your head?
I think it was less than 10, right?
I think that the number of heroes will drop by 75%.
Oof.
That's by 75. It will go to 70.
Oh,
yes, to 75%.
I was like, man, you're going to take the pessimist view?
No, not 1/4. No, we're going to go to 75% of the current. So if it was 12 heroes came out, then we're going to have 9 new heroes come
I think
out
that
next
sounds fair, Ghost. I tend to agree with that. We already did get confirmation in that post from KO. Our first hero of 2019 will be on the PTR during the first week of 2019. Yeah. So they're going to start us off with something. How quick is that cadence going to be, though? We don't know.
9 heroes this last year.
Okay.
9 heroes.
So I say we get 7 new heroes,
okay. So going off this, people forget, Orphe got announced at BlizzCon, which was November 4th, something. It's been almost 2 months, or it's a month and a half, and so their next hero, if it's going to get released in like next week, probably not. It's probably actually going to get released like 2 weeks because they're on break right now. I doubt they would release something like next to Christmas. 2 months, so that would be like 6 years. I'm going to bet, but like that cadence is only confirmed for like the first 7 months of the year because they plan things 6 to 9 months out. So I'm going to bet 5 heroes, 4 or 5 heroes. Throughout the totality of next year, 4 to 5 heroes. I bet it's going to be like 3 in the first half of the year, and then maybe like 2, like maybe like 1 in the second half, and then like maybe 1 gets announced at BlizzCon. Yeah, that's my bet. In terms of like reworks, like I think the whole thing is like it's gonna stay pretty much similar, maybe like a 5 to 10% drop off for the next 6 months. But then like what happens at the 6 month mark? What happens when all of their plans are essentially new? And it's just like, does the amount of content drop from 100% to 75%, like Ghost was saying? Does it drop to 50%? Does it drop to 25%? Like, are we just in like maintenance mode at that point? I'll probably go with the most pessimistic view and say we don't ever see these ranked changes. we don't get a role overhaul, and QM essentially stays the same as it is right now.
I think QM does stay the same.
I don't think QM will ever get changed from where it is right now. If these changes work and they make the queue times shorter, I think people will say, fine, we tried better match quality and we didn't like it, so we're just gonna stick with this, and it's just gonna be like, okay.
Yeah, I would say I think
even with the role changes that may or may not
the role changes happen. I think the role changes will happen. They have all the graphics, they have all the stuff they want to do. They just need to time it out, and it's gonna happen. It's in the pipeline already. I think ranked changes will definitely happen because they want to consolidate queues. I think with a lower player base, it's the best thing that they can do is combine Hero League and Team League.
Let's go back to the Pod 9 outline and see. Let's go back to the Pod 9 outline and see those changes. See the ranked updates. See if we can guess which ones are coming. So you think combining Hero League and Team League is definitely coming. Do you think we're gonna get a visible MMR? I don't think we'll get that. If we might get combining Hero League and TL. I don't think we'll ever get visible MMR.
I think it'll be easier for them. I think that right now the weird hybrid between MMR and ranked points is difficult to convey to the user. It's difficult to handle. It's difficult to handle with like PRA. I think it's just simpler if they move to MMR and display some kind of point system, and whatever rank point you have is what your MMR is.
You'd think it'd be easier, but I don't know. I think if they do, I give like a 50-50 chance that they combine Hero League and Team League. I don't give a very high chance that they do MMR, but I think they do those other changes. Placement games down to 3 games, no performance-based matchmaking, no promo demo games, but I don't think we'll ever see loss forgiveness, and I don't think we'll ever see stacking penalties for leavers. I think those are completely off the tables, and those are some of those changes that KO said some of the things that we had planned are going to have to change, and I think those things are going to get the axe.
I agree. The anything that requires dev work like loss forgiveness is now suspect.
What do you think, Murda?
It's really tough to say.
You can take the optimist view. I took the pessimist view. Ghost Dunk took the status. The status is the same. You can take the optimist view. Things will remain the same.
I mean, for the ranked updates, they're definitely going to happen. The merging with
we were
KO's
so
latest...
confident last pod that changes were happening to this December season. It's like, listen back to that pod and just listen to how, of course they're happening. Did you hear how excited they were at BlizzCon? Did you see how they so enthusiastically were supportive of it? It's like,
I'm surprised as well.
This happens every single time, and we give them way too much credit. It's like,
I think to me, I guess I kind of see why they're slow to make sure they're doing it right. You have 2 separate MMRs, Hero League or Team League. How do you merge those together? How do you deal with the potential backlash of people saying match quality issues? Like, is this right? The solo queuers being stuck with 4-man stacks and having to deal with all that potential fallout. It's not an easy adjustment. I think they need to rip the Band-Aid and just do it. Show the MMRs. I think we're gonna see something other than your league placement. We're not gonna be talking about Diamond 5 people this time next year. We'll be talking about an MMR bracket range.
I think they'll still call it Diamond though. It just seems weird to get
rid of that. But a number
Overwatch style. I think Overwatch has this. Your Diamond.
Yeah, so
we're gonna talk about the numbers though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're gonna be like, I'm 1700 or whatever you might be. That's what we'll talk about. We're not gonna say I'm Diamond 5.
I think we still will. Maybe not 5 or but I know Smite has MMR and league designations tiers.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna do it what Overwatch does. Overwatch does Diamond 2800, something like that. I think that if they were going to do it, they would just do it simply like that. And you gain points and lose points with each game. Which, by the way, Overwatch had on release, and Heroes has taken 3.5 years to happen. Sorry, I had a little thing. 3.5 years. That's gonna be my meme.
I mean,
well,
yeah.
there's always time to continue developing, Jax.
Yeah, until you find out that your game that you've been working on for 3.5 years wasn't as profitable, and that you don't have the eventual time that you thought you did, and then all of your game devs get pulled off of it, and then your community is left in ruin.
What I would like to see is people who work on the Blizzard creative side just find ways to put more fan fiction into the game. I feel like
it was really brutal that lore like just got released, and then it's like, oh, bye.
Oof.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Oof. Back to discussions. I do think Heroes of the Storm in general was a big deal for Blizzard together. I think even if HotS doesn't survive long term through the community banding together and making this work somehow, Blizzard did set a very solid foundation for what an all-star style game would look like for Blizzard. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's outside the MOBA genre that we see something similar of an all-star cast of Blizzard heroes come together sometime again in the future.
I mean, I think the time on that is like 10 years, but yeah.
And they have a frame of what these heroes look like individually, what makes their lore matter, what's their impact, abilities that you'd want these heroes to have. And again, it probably wouldn't be in the MOBA genre.
Yeah.
But potentially something else. Maybe Smash Bros really kicks off during this next year, and Blizzard wants to make their own Smash Bros game. But I think having the foundation and all these heroes with a bit of, the heroes dev team putting in their own work, but identifying these heroes and what makes them so unique.
Yeah. I mean, looking for, actually, I'm thinking of Overwatch, and I'm thinking of the maps. What a farce Blizzard World is turning out to be. Like, the idea that there could ever be a Blizzard World in the future now seems very bleak.
I'm still waiting on Warcraft 2, baby.
I think looking forward to 2019 as far as the community goes, I think we're going to have I think amateur leagues are going to remain a success throughout most of the year. I think we're going to see people like Bloodlust come back. I know Kala has been talking. I can't wait to see what Heroes Hearth is going to put together. Gladman reportedly wants to get back into the mix and start funding, people playing this game. NGS, I think, is going to have a good year. I think people are going to still continue to make content. Everybody who's in the scene, knows each other. Twitch numbers are going to go down, but I feel like, at least for the next year, the community is going to stick together, and I'm going to try and support that myself.
Absolutely.
I think there's also a 50-50 chance that we even have BlizzCon next year.
What?
Yeah.
Like HotS at BlizzCon?
No. Any BlizzCon.
Really? BlizzCon proper will, we'll make a bold prediction right now if we're still in this segment. It's not going to happen in 2019.
Okay.
Even if it does, Jax, even if it does happen, the sentiment following BlizzCon 2018 from the overall Blizz family is very down.
I mean, you guys didn't mention that. You didn't mention that last time. Like, you were there. You guys both were there. Like, were people like just leaving angry? Like, Diablo was a farce, but
no, because the people like us who were there for different reasons than hearing about a Diablo announcement. So maybe not the best people to talk to, but I will say anecdotally for myself, I was at both the 2017 and 2018 BlizzCons, and I will say my first one, 2017, and I don't want this to seem like it was just because it was my first time there, but I just overall felt like it had more to it. I don't think 2018 was necessarily, for me, again, this is for me, I don't feel like it was terrible. I thought it was fine. I had a good time. I had a great time, actually, but I don't think it lived up to the same quality that 2017 had for me.
I think unless they have some huge announcements ready to go, at BlizzCon, like here are all these unannounced projects we're working on, and this is now BlizzCon is about these new projects. I think unless that's what BlizzCon is next year, we're not going to have it because they don't have much to show outside of Overwatch. I think World of Warcraft is in a bad place. PR wise, Diablo's in a bad place. Heroes of the Storm, obviously, like how many Heroes of the Storm people, like if they even mention the game, it's going to be a backlash of people.
I was just going to say, like, it's probably going to be something like what Diablo had like a few years ago, I think at 2017, where it was just like a one panel where they're just like, here's Necromancer, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, like, here's Heroes, isn't that pretty cool? But it's not going to be on the big stage. They're not going to get a cinematic. They're not going to, like, that's what I think it's going to be. But man, you guys are taking the ultimate pessimistic view. You guys think I'm a pessimist.
Yeah, no, I think like if Heroes of the Storm does that, it's not just that, you know, the game slowly withered away. Like Diablo is a pretty old game, like, you know, and games slowly fade away, but HotS died a quick, passionate, fiery death.
Shotgun to the
Do not
chest.
go gentle into that.
Yeah, it did not go gentle, and I think that there's going to be a lot of backlash if there's a BlizzCon. But I think with funding, BlizzCon is a big expense. It's stuff that they can announce at other game conferences if they've got some new sort of things. And I think the community morale for Blizzard is at an all-time low. So I would say that I would give it a 50% chance of even happening at all.
I think they're too stubborn not to make it happen. I think that's like the one thing that's driving them not to cancel is just like I'm too stubborn. They used to do it every other year, and I think it worked out great because they usually had one big announcement every other year. But now they're doing it yearly, and people don't seem to like it very much. I don't know. I agree that they really haven't had a huge release since Overwatch. You know, they had WoW expansions, but oof.
They may cancel the Overwatch World Cup.
No, they would never do that. They have too much money invested in OWL and to pull a HotS there. Like no. The World Cup, the World
not
Cup. Yeah.
OWL.
I think the two are one and the same. And if you cancel one, you're essentially saying to the other, like, your days are numbered.
I mean, it is a show match, though.
It is an exhibition map, but it gets them on the like ESPN. It gets them on some pretty reputable sources. I don't know what'll happen. I don't think anybody knows, especially considering it's 11 months out. We should probably start to wrap up. We still have oh god, where's the outline?
XP changes
and balance patch. Do you just want to skip the XP changes? Because I don't think anybody they did the change.
I think the one important thing to say is it's going to be really tough to understand what the changes mean to the game without a pro scene. How does the meta exist now? Does the meta hold, like you wrote here, a lot less weight without the HGC?
Yeah.
All these things, it's very tough to even consider in the absence of seeing professional games happen.
I mean, the closest you're going to get is the amateur scene, and we're going to see what teams that stay in HotS do at the very top level. If you have a GM team, so you have to see how they play. The thing with the XP changes is that AFK style is still good. They didn't fix that with the Fort passive XP, but it sucks. It's hard to play because you want to play the game. You don't want to just sit behind towers and let the enemy take your fort until level 16. You want to play the game. So I think now that we're moving to a more amateur scene and the money involved is very low, people are going to want to have fun over trying to win the game at any cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not a whole lot.
Fair.
I don't think much has changed with those XP changes. Relatively similar in terms of like I still get 3 game wins and losses or 3 level leads.
Yeah, I mean, like I think actually I've been doing some statistic work, and I need to wait a couple months before I get the HotS logs data dump that will show how the XP changes have affected the game. But there's going to be a very good article by Cavalier Guest. I'm helping him work on some stuff. So look forward to that.
Very nice, very nice. Moving on, I guess we can tackle this real quick because we are a little bit over. Just the balance patch, because we do still talk about HotS positively sometimes. This was a good change. These were good changes. So we can go through real quick. Gall got nerfed. Got the crap nerfed out of him, actually. Bombs away. Now caps. Could have happened 2 years ago, but
Yeah.
good for them finally catching up. I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore considering competitive's kind of gone. But thanks anyway. Makes my team league experiences much better now. Orphea got nerfed, which she was a little hovering towards the top. I liked the changes because they weren't too draconian, and they were actually kind of like the health nerf is probably the biggest one, but you can get that back by just taking Backbiter, which you might take because Fright is a little worse now. So Ancestral Strength, that was just overperforming. So a little bit of a nerf, but not major. I think she'll still be pretty good. Samuro, and these are those changes that you were alluding to earlier, Murda, is just like they don't have to worry about competitive. So Samuro was not competitive at a high level, so now they're balancing around Diamond in like Hero League and Team League, and Samuro is kind of trashing that league. He is kind of destroying them. So yeah, no, these changes are good. If you're playing against a good Samuro, like oof. Stop me. I'm just trying to get through this as fast as possible. So stop me if you want to talk about any specific one in particular. Sylvanas got health buff, which is nice because now you're like diving in to get these kills on her Q, and Shadow Dagger got buffed. I still think she'll be a little weak because it's not a whole lot, but maybe. Zagara getting nerfed, which is good because again, she's in the same category as Samuro. She'll kind of crap on you if you don't pay attention to her. She makes you play the game in a different way where you just have to babysit her lanes, and if you don't, then she will take it. Increasing the Hunter Killer cooldown means that she can't just continuously pop them out, and nerfing the basic attack reduction on her Nidus network is good. Oriole, the buff doesn't really matter. She's still kind of bad. I really hate these Decker changes, to be honest. We can probably talk about these a little bit. So they nerfed him really hard with the last patch. I think harder than they wanted. And then, so he's down to like 42% win rate. And instead of like reverting some of the nerfs or like increasing his power and the rest of his kit, like they just buffed a bunch of garbage talents.
Yeah, that's the standard typical Blizzard format is
you buff all of these and like they don't even become marginally more attractive than their alternatives. Yeah. So it's like, oh man.
Yeah, no one was taking. I mean, a lot of like casual players take Super Healing Potion.
Yes. You don't. Okay, we can go through each of them. You don't take Field Studies because it competes with Sapphire, and you don't take Ruby because you're never going to, because you take Sapphire and Emerald at 1 and 7. So you're never going to have a third W up to use Ruby on. So you don't take that. I see a lot of. Maybe it's good at lower levels that Super Healing Potion is increased, but like, hey, you have a talent at that tier that increases your entire team's auto attack damage and also heals them and does AoE damage. That seems pretty good.
It's a mini Bloodlust on like
it really is.
12, 20 second cooldown?
No, it used to be 30 seconds, but they nerfed it to a minute, which was a really good change, but it's still the best. And then safety in numbers, maybe some trap. That's practically a trap talent.
It is, yes.
You're never close enough. It maybe if they like increase the range of his trait to like 10% by 10%, that would actually be pretty good. But like as of right now, his trait, like you have to be so close to people to get the value off of it, and you have to be close to 3 people. Yeah. These are bad changes because they're not going to increase his win rate like at all. Maybe at really low levels.
I don't know that they're bad changes. I think that they work for these talents because they're bad talents.
They don't fix any of his problems, and then, this doesn't fix any of his problems. So ergo bad changes. It has been decided. Murda, you have anything to add?
Okay.
I don't want to leave you out.
I still like the old man, He's fun to play. I like throwing the potions out. Drink this Kool-Aid.
I want to like him, but
I think you're right, though. I think in what you said, Super Healing Potion's always been the kind of newbie one. Safety in numbers, I think you're right. Still a trap talent, even with the extra 5 armor. It's like, with the way armor works now, too, you got to consider it's like, it's just not good. Like, don't take that. let's move on. We got Morales. It's kind of the same deal. Reduce the cooldown of safeguard by 2 seconds if you take physical therapy. I think it's whatever. Maybe with the new armor, it's so tough. I think there's way too many heroes in the game right now doing too much area damage that Morales is just never going to be an option. Too easy to diver. Tough to take Morales. Looking at Uther, Armor of Faith. Yeah, I think you're right. You're gonna get a little bit extra mana back now.
But you were just running this with Holy Light at 4, so it already just cost like 45 mana, and you would regen it because if you hit a person with it, then it would give you mana back. And then you combine it with the level 1, which reduces the mana cost. So like this, you never needed mana, and now it has a cooldown, so you couldn't do the meme, which is combining this with the 16 talent to just essentially have permanent armor on yourself. So I don't know. This seems like a pretty big nerf for this build, but it was just a meme build, so I don't know why like they were focused on this. I don't know why this takes priority over like Genji, but okay.
I mean, like, it's all about win rates, you know?
Was Uther at a bad win rate?
I mean, he's probably the worst healer in the game right now.
53%. He's actually the best healer in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Interesting.
Maybe the armor buffs were like a lot. What's his best build? His best build is
armor
E-build,
is a big deal now.
His best build is E-build, though. So it's like, I don't know.
Well, we see Cho getting nerfed in line with Gaul. I think we talked about it in this episode, taking him out of the game.
When you can have 25 armor permanently, that seems like a good change to me, doesn't it?
Diva getting an 8% buff to basic attack is pretty big.
This is just they don't care anymore. They're just like, fine, have an OP Diva. Like, we don't care. Like, all you Diva mains, like, you kept complaining that you wanted the auto attack buff. Fine, have it. We don't care.
Mal'Ganis getting nerfed a bit on his W. Stitches getting tweaked up just a tad bit. His Chop W at level 4. A little bit of an attack speed increase. Digestive juices at level 13. Also getting a little bit of help with his damage reduction he applies and the duration for which it lasts. Does that make Stitches a beast anymore? I think the jury's still out. I don't think we have a verdict on how good Stitches is, and probably won't know until the amateur scene really gets into full force later, or I guess early in 2019.
Yeah, I don't think any of these changes change any of the meta, except maybe making Samuro a little harder to play.
Yeah. And Orphea. I mean, those Orphea changes are pretty substantial as well. And Zagara, you can't cheese with Zagara anymore, and Deckard is still not viable, so the only two supports that are viable are Tyrande and Whitemane. Maybe Uther now. I don't know if those armor changes are actually...
I guess people just weren't picking Orphea. I wasn't seeing her as much in high tier.
She's easy to counter because you just pick Lockdown Stun and she can't really do anything. She's pretty squished. Okay. Anything else that you guys wanna bring up before we go to the outro? Because what are we at?
I want to, we're gonna start off with shout outs here. I want to give a special shout out to Mongoose and Weenus for putting on Deck the Brawls during December. It was a good event. I got to play in it. A huge shout out to our casters, including our friend here, Ghost Dunk.
Oh yeah.
What an event, Ghost! You got to participate as a caster. I got to participate as a player. Let everyone know what your experience was with that event.
My experience was it was a fantastic event. I had so much fun casting all these crazy rules. I got to do 2 games with my pal Cody Kraz. We had a really good cast, and at some point Blizzard decided to actually kill the game by breaking the login. And
I was one of those players who couldn't get in.
Yeah, and I was one of those players as well. And so while I was locked out of the game, me and Cody sat there BSing for about 30 minutes about completely random things about Christmas and whatnot, and like I think every other caster had to deal with the same thing, but like I didn't want to turn the stream off, so
I was actually tuned in during that rain delay, and I was actually playing for the team that was participating in that next match on your stream, and so I was tuned in, hanging out, and I was impressed with the professionalism that came from both you and Cody Kraz, keeping the audience entertained throughout. It was like an hour. We were just sitting there like, well, maybe soon. The tournament admins were to the point. Mongoose had said, hey guys, we're going to give it 5 more minutes and then that's it. And the lights came back on, and it ended up being a really, really fun event. I thought you guys did a fantastic job presenting it to everyone.
It was a Christmas miracle. I was at some point I was like, do we have another game that we can like just play and like to do on stream? And none of us owned the same game, and so we couldn't pull anything together on Steam. It was hilarious. All right. My shout out. I want to shout out everyone that's involved in the amateur scene, everybody in NGS that's going to continue playing. If you quit Heroes because there's no pro scene, I understand. I have a lot of people that were like, I'm going to play in Heroes of the Dorm and I'm going to move on to this sort of thing. And now I want to work on something else. I get it. And I understand why you're leaving. But everyone who's sticking by, you're fantastic. Hashtag save HotS, I guess, but like, keep the passion up, and it's still a community. Everybody still has fun doing these things, and NGS is one of our opportunities to, have a league that feels real, like, with all our articles and, the podcast and everything. Like, we want to make Heroes matter to the people that are into it. So, that's part of my goal, and shout out to all the other amateur leagues, because in my personal opinion, is that we need to come together now more than others. So I want to shout out Heroes Lounge. I want to shout out /GG. I want to shout out whatever Heroes Hearth is up to, whatever Gladman might be up to. I want to shout out Bloodlust, whatever they're up to. Heroes Hype are still doing amateur series. I got the cast, the last one of the year, and yeah, just want to keep everyone who's passionate about it. I want to give a shout out for your passion.
Well said. I'm reiterating that, I do think it is important to, if you are passionate about this game, if you really do enjoy playing it, that you should continue to support it. Maybe, I saw our old friend Bobo saying that he would not be purchasing any new stuff from Blizzard. And if you want to buy into that, that's a fair attitude to have, because why would you want to support something that just killed essentially one of the best parts of it. I understand. Yeah. I understand that sentiment, but if you do support HotS going forward, then be sure to play, because and give the devs some love when they do eventually give us some inkling as to how things are going to happen going forward. We're pretty rough on them here, or at least I am. But it is heartening to see that they do care. Devs like Lana coming back and saying like, no, I'm staying here, and like KO actually giving a crap and releasing a statement. It really does mean a lot more than just the corporatees that the Bracks of the world just will spew out. So. It's a downer of a week. It's been a downer of a month so far for HotS, but let's hope that next year will be even better. Merry Christmas to all.
So I also want to give one shout out, and it's to you two here with me today. We made it through 10 episodes of Nexus. Now that's a huge milestone. We did it all within the confines of 2018. We still have a big year ahead. NGS is not going anywhere. Our podcast, we're going to be here for you guys. So here's to another 10 episodes in 2019. I do want to say, if you want to support this podcast and all that we're doing, and NGS in general, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/Heroes Nexus Gaming Series. Anything you can give to donate towards NGS, we greatly appreciate it. It goes directly to supporting the community within NGS. I know the Deck the Brawls, fun little prizes for those who got to participate and place in the top 2 spots there. We're looking to do a lot of fun stuff, and we can't do it without your support. So head on over to patreon.com/Heroes Nexus Gaming Series. Become a patron, and we will love you forever. That's it for episode 10. Guys, let them know where they can find you, Jax.
same place as always, just twitter.com/Jackster37. I'm going to be uploading the podcast to YouTube, the Nexus Gaming series YouTube page, so be looking out for them there, and I will probably tweet out when they will go live. This one will go live on Christmas. We're recording it a couple days early, but it'll give me an excuse to stay away in my room and ignore my family for a few days. So, that's a good thing. I'll try and get this out as fast as possible for you guys.
All right. Another big shout out to Jax, who does like so much work. I really want to thank you for the editing that you've done on all 10 podcasts. It's a huge undertaking, and I really appreciate that. It's a huge amount of work, and now you're going to do it before Christmas. So thanks to you.
Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas!
You can reach me at twitch.tv/ghostdunk, where I'll be casting Heroes Lounge, NGS, and probably Heroes Hype, and whatever I can get my hands on next year. You can follow me on Twitter at IlluminatedWax. Murda, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/MurdaRG, or over on Twitter at MurdaRG. The biggest thing I want to leave from this: become active in the community. The community needs you now. Head over to Twitter, start tweeting at Blizzard, tweet at your friends, talk about the game, reinvest your love into the game, because it won't exist without that love. I love all of you guys listening. Guys, anything else before we leave for 2018?
May I hope that 2019 be much more bright than 2018.
And to Smithel, and not just Smithel, but to everybody listening. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love.
We're gonna
Love.
Love is all you need.
Good to know that won't change.